Hello, it's Jane here from FMC Genie. I haven't been on here for a little while, have I? I'm really sorry. Summer kind of took over. I got married, new name. Business has gone a little bit crazy, if I'm perfectly honest. All excuses, I know. Anyway, I'm here. We are at the beginning of September. And I'm sure everyone's starting to think, heck, it's Christmas. Retail is all about Christmas, and this is the time of year. Actually, in truth, you should have done it six months ago. Never mind, I digress. Today, I'm going to talk about merchandising. For those of you who have followed me on various feeds and indeed been to various podcasts and webinars and stuff that I've done in the past, you'll know that merchandising is something that I feel very strongly about, because it's the majority of my career has been in merchandising. So I just thought I'd really touch on it from a viewpoint of a new brand that's starting out, or indeed someone that has already been trading out there and perhaps might be mindful of some tweaks that they might want to make on their packaging, and not just packaging but out of case packaging as well. So merchandising can mean very different things to different people, particularly in the food and drink industry. It means basically the way your products look on shelf. So within every buying team of a multiple at least, you will have a merchandiser, or they may also be called a space planner, and they will have special software that will be monitoring what it is and your sort of rate of sale and how big your product is and everything. So there's going to be different software packages that they use, but effectively it is like grown-up Tetris. It is trying to slot the right products into the right places based on their rate of sale. Now, a space planner will have several different categories to look on, probably. So you'll probably find that there's one that looks after beers, wines and spirits, and one that looks after ambient, and so on. There may be several people that do that within there. So let's say historically I used to do cake. So cake, obviously, it's a bit of a favourite. So you can have a look. So all the boxes on cake are different sizes. Some are shallow, some are tall, some are standing upwards, some are in tubes, and so on. So it was my responsibility to make sure that it depends how you wanted to merchandise, but let's say it's all brand blocked. So all the Mr. Kiplings were all in one area, all the Cadbury's cakes were in another area, and they were all cited alongside. So a space planner will look at, like I say, at rate of sale. So they'll want to know how many units in your outer, what's called a UPO, a units per outer. So if you were having a case of, or you're delivering in a case of 6, so let's say they replenish once a week, so they would expect a case probably to last a week. If your sales were more than 6, and let's say they were 12, then they'd probably put 2 cases out. It makes kind of logical sense, but that will have an impact on your long term on your out of stocks. So if you were selling say 12 a week and you only had 6 out and they were only replenishing once a week, then that might be an issue for you, and you may want to put 12 in an outer, or have a chat with this space planner and make sure that you've got 2 facings. Also, the reverse can happen. So if you've got a short life product and you're selling through a lot slower than the number of outers per unit, and then end up at the end of the week with wastage, some retailers may charge you for that. Some may just take a dim view on it. Obviously, it's in no one's interest to waste food. It is costly and not very ethical. So there is that element of it as well. So I've written here slope. Now, the gradient of a shelf can have a huge impact on the amount of products that you can put on a shelf. So the majority of shelves, let's say you're looking at the canned section, will be on flat shelves, which makes sense. But in some areas, and I'm trying to think of probably maybe fresh, I'm pretty certain that I've seen them in the salad aisle and that kind of thing, where they will tilt up the shelves and then have what's called a riser at the front to stop everything from falling off. So effectively, they can only merchandise up to the point at which things stay on shelf. So that may reduce quite significantly in some areas the amount of product that they can put actually on that shelf. So there again, that will have an impact on your shelf fill, which will also have an impact on your rate of sale and whether or not you end up with out of stocks or wastage. You with me? It's also really useful to have a look at other products that are on the shelf. So do you want to blend in and be part of the rest of the range on that shelf? Probably not, I'm guessing, unless there's a really valid reason why it needs to be in that particular type of packaging. So it's really worth having a look before you design your packaging, or indeed if you just want to tweak the ones that you've got already, just go and have a look out there. And I'm not talking necessarily just products that are on the shelf next to you. I know I speak to a lot of people about understanding your competition. So your competition is not necessarily the products that are around your products on shelf. Let's say crisps. So yes, so if I'm creating a new Jane's new crisp company, and I would put it on a shelf, then yes, of course, I'm going to look at the Walkers and the Golden Wonder and all the other lovely niche brands that are out there at the moment. But then you may also want to think a little bit further field and go, okay, well, that eating occasion is a crisp, it's a savoury snack, so therefore you may also want to have a look at peanuts or popcorn or even little crackers and that kind of thing. So see what they're doing too, because in a smaller store you may well be all condensed down into one area, and you will be competing on the same playing field then. Yes, a visual from front and side. Now I think I know what I mean by that. So let's say your product is on a shelf and it's facing you, that way, facing you, which is fine. But if sometimes your product, it's very, very likely that your product is not going to be in eye view unless you are a very, very high selling volume product, what's sort of like an iconic brand, say like Heinz Baked Beans, for example. It is very unlikely that you would be at an eye line. Unfortunately, you probably end up putting up the top or maybe down at the bottom. So your product needs to be visible and displaying the same key messages from the front as it does at the top. So if I've had an instance recently with a brand that I've been working with that it moved from a middle shelf to a bottom shelf. Yes, it was that. No, sorry, beg your pardon. Bottom shelf to a top shelf, which meant that all we could see was the side of the pot. There was no packaging around it, it was just the side of the pot, and that was displaying no branding, no key messages at all. So we had to actually redesign the packaging so that to accommodate where the retailer had decided to put the product. Not brilliant, a bit long-winded, bit expensive, but necessary. So that's something to have a think about. Also, the size of your product, and I will leave you with this one now because I'm waffling, is the size of the product. So if you think you're going to, in the beer aisle, for example, so you'll have all your regular size products at eye level, but then the bulk, the big stuff, all down at the bottom. And the same can go for, I don't know, again, canned, and anything that's heavy, that's going to be, so you don't want people lifting massive, great big heavy things from the top shelf and killing poor little old ladies. That's not good PR, trust me. You want it at the bottom shelf, and so that people can actually pick it up. I know that when I buy my Diet Coke, shameful, I buy Diet Coke in bulk. I will confess to it. I know it's always going to be at the bottom because I will just pick it up and put it straight in there. Something that size on an eye level shelf would actually be very dangerous. So be mindful of where you think your product might be better suited, whether it is in a middle shelf, bottom shelf, or wherever. Just be mindful that gondola ends, don't get too excited, are almost uniquely for a promotional product. So if you're lucky enough to have the support of a particularly forward-thinking buyer, you may end up there at some point. If you are on there, you probably won't stay on there, unfortunately. I think my next one of these will be about off-shelf merchandising, which I can talk for hours on as well. I've already done 8 minutes, 48 seconds. I think I've waffled enough. Hopefully it's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Jane@fmcgenie.com. More than happy to speak to anybody. Enjoy your autumn. It's miserable out there. And take care. Love you all. Bye.